Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today between the Chicago White Sox and the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Monday, everyone. And on the thumb, on the left, catcher Edgar Cairo. And on the right, our ace, it is Brian Wu. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Chicago White Sox. Leading off for the White Sox at second base, Sam Antonacci. Batting second, playing first base, Munetaka Murakami. Batting third, playing third base, Miguel Vargas. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, shortstop, Colson Montgomery. Batting fifth, DHing for Chicago, Andrew Benintendi. Batting sixth, playing right field, Jared Kelenic. Batting seventh, playing left field, Tristan Peters. Batting eighth, catching today for Chicago, Drew Romo. And batting ninth, playing center field, Luis Angel Acuna. And on the mound for the White Sox with a 2-2 record, ERA of 4.91, it is Noah Schultz. And now let's get into the starting lineups for your Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at shortstop, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, playing center field, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. Batting third, playing left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting fifth, DHing for Seattle, Rob Refsnyder. Batting sixth, playing right field, Connor Joe. Batting seventh, playing second base, Cole Clutch Young. Batting eighth, playing third base, Colt Emerson. And batting ninth, catching today for Seattle, Johnny Pereda. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 3-2 record, an ERA of 3.91. One of our aces, it is Brian Wu. And hopefully we get a good outing here out of Brian Wu. Magic number will be 3 runs or less from Brian Wu given up. And if we can get 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits on the offense, it should put us in a good position to be able to compete with the White Sox here tonight. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. We're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Try dance up. Let's go, M's. And we're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. 36 subs to go to 24,100. We're getting all settled in here. And I just got a chance to get back from the vet, and the bill was over $200, but again, they ended up flushing out her ear and giving her some medication inside of her ear, and then we got some anti-itch pills for her to take for the next 10 days. And so far, we don't have to put the cone on. We have to monitor, pretty closely and whatnot. So at least the cone of shame won't have to be on there. So at least that'll be a little bit better for her, just being able to leisure around the house and when we go on walks and whatnot. But again, it definitely makes my heart feel a little bit better, knowing that she's doing a little bit better herself as well. And shout out to all the people that donated on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to help out with that cost, considering I just went to the vet a few weeks ago and already dished out $450, which is a lot for me. And to have another $200 vet bill just a few weeks later, definitely is tough. But I appreciate all of you that have helped out and have sent messages. Appreciate it very much. All right, here we go. First pitch from Brian Wu to Sam Antonacci, incoming momentarily. First pitch, fouls off there by Antonacci, four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, right down the middle, 0-1 count. Dave in the building, Daniel in the building, what's good? Oh, 1 pitch, little blooper that lands right in front of Julio, and Sam Antonacci with a single to start it off. And hopefully we don't see Wu give up too many, big hits. Again, obviously we got to limit the home runs and the RBIs and keep those to a minimum. Nice base knock there. Single to center in front of Julio Rodriguez by Sam Antonacci. Next up in the 2-hole, first baseman Munetaka Murakami. First pitch to Murakami, fouls it out of play. Slider 84 miles an hour there by Brian Wu, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. Sweeper 82 miles an hour there by Brian Wu. Coming into the matchup with a 3-2 record, ERA of 3.91. And Munetaka Murakami, one of the top home run leaders, number 2, behind Kyle Schwarber, who has 20. He's got 17. Judge has 16. 1-1 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Munetaka Murakami, but being a new player coming from Japan and already being in the top 2 in home runs, with Schwarber, and then obviously in the top 3 with Judge. I don't know if anyone anticipated that, even people that watch a lot of Japanese baseball, but definitely has put Chicago on the map. And we're not talking about just the Cubs now, and good for them, for being a bottom feeder all these years. They're actually starting to become relevant. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Munetaka Murakami. 2-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Slider 84 miles an hour there by Wu. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first. And no outs. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the White Sox and the Mariners. AZ in the building, Daniel in the building, Dave. Mish in the building, not JT in the building. What's good? Jim in the building, Seahawks fan, Dark Passenger in the building as well. 3-2 pitch, high and away. And now Wu in a little bit of a jam here. And trying to get a little cute out there. Sam Antonacci trying to steal a bag, even though there was already a walk there with Murakami. I'm not really sure why would you, do that in that particular case. But again, so Emerson is not on third, but ends up getting the ball and getting the tag. And again, tried to pull a fast one on the Mariners there, running to second and then running to third there, but we ended up getting the out. So down goes Sam Antonacci, and what a great play there, by Colt Emerson. having the awareness to be able to get to third in time and catch that ball there from Pareda. And we have 1 away. Next up is Miguel Vargas. First pitch, takes a strike looking low and away with a sinker, 94 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, fouls that one off, out of play. Slider 85 miles an hour by Brian Wu. No balls and 2 strikes to Miguel Vargas. Vargas in the box. Brian Wu on the mound. 0-2 pitch from Wu. Popped up into right field and out of play. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Wu. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early. Showtime in the building. What's good? And I'm really excited that we have Cole Young and Colt Emerson playing together, but still going to be challenging with no Brendan Donovan and Cal Raleigh in the lineup. We'll just try to do our very best. 0-2 pitch, low and away. Sweeper, 84 miles an hour, missing by Wu by a few inches. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early. Antonacci tried to go from first to second, second to third, and got caught after the walk to Murakami. And we got a beautiful throw from Pareda to Colt Emerson. And that is how we have 1 away. 1-2 pitch, high and inside, four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Miguel Vargas. Yeah, I've never seen a team do that to us all season, but Emerson with a little dribbler, throw back to second, in time. Right there, baby, to Cole Young. I like that. And that is 2 away. And, one thing that you are going to notice, is that Colt Emerson, just like Cole Young, he can play offense and defense. And again, you got to think he's playing a new position here, playing third, normally is a primary shortstop. And that'll be the position that he'll play after this season, unless JP ends up having an injury. And then he'll move to that shortstop position and probably not give up the spot. But again, a pretty talented player like Brendan Donovan, a guy that normally would play short and second as well. And they had to move him to third. And again, anytime you get a player, regardless if it's a rookie or a vet playing a new position, there is going to be some errors and there's going to be some mistakes, but great job there by Colt Emerson. Much better than having Leo Rivas, who got sent down to AAA today. First pitch, big swing and a miss to Colson Montgomery. Sweeper, 81 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. Another sweeper there, 85 miles an hour by Wu. 1 ball and 1 strike to Colson Montgomery. One pitch, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour by Wu. 2 balls and 1 strike to Colson Montgomery. Montgomery in the box. Brian Wu on the mound. 2-1 pitch, low and at the knees. Count now is 3 balls and 1 strike to Colson Montgomery. Wu getting himself into a little bit of a jam here early, but thankfully Antonacci got greedy and tried to steal multiple bags, and we ended up catching him. 3-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour there by Brian Wu. Count now is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the White Sox and the Mariners. And, we're definitely looking for a little bit of payback against this White Sox team that ended up winning 2 games out of 3. And hopefully we'll be able to do the same to them here in this series at home. Three-two pitch, popped up behind the plate and foul. Hitting the T-Mobile bricks. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Colson Montgomery. And we won, if you remember, game 1, 12-8. And then we lost the next 2, 6-1 and 2-1. So, again, hopefully the bats will be able to come alive, as well as the solid pitching that we're hoping for in this series. Rebecca with a 5, appreciate you. 3-2 pitch, high and away. And that's another walk there for Brian Wu. Appreciate you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for your generosity. And Rebecca with a $5 holla, getting us started on the Dono train. And obviously anything that we end up getting here will kind of help compensate for the vet bill that I had to take care of today. So we're at 5 on the Dono train, 95 to go. Thank you so much. And again, anytime, the pup has an issue, it kind of breaks my heart, if I'm being honest. And, when she feels pain, I feel pain. And, I'm glad that she's doing much better. First pitch to Andrew Benintendi, the former Red Sox. Takes a strike on the outside. Slider, 84 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Power in the building. What's good? All day in the building. What's good? Oh-one pitch, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Brian Wu. 1 ball and 1 strike with runners at first and second and 2 outs. 0-0 here early between the White Sox and the Mariners. 1-1 pitch in there for a strike on the corner, painting that corner beautifully there by Brian Wu. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Wu on the mound, Benintendi in the box. Blue Jay in the building. What's good, brother? 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. And Wu gets out of that big jam after pitching a little bit of a shaky, top of the first inning. He only gave up a hit, but then had a couple walks. And, thankfully, Antonacci got greedy, trying to catch us sleeping, and almost did. But we were able to get that out at third with Colt Emerson. And the game is still 0-0. So even though the White Sox are, a hotter team since the last time that we played them, even though they were pretty hot in Chicago when we played them a few weeks ago, I'm not worried. Again, we have to be able to do our best. And again, anything is better than playing the Padres. Now let's go to the bottom of the first inning and see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up for the Mariners, leading off, shortstop, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, playing center field, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. And batting third, playing left field, Randy Arozarena. And I like Randy moving up to the 3-hole. And since we're going against a left-handed pitcher, I'm glad that we have JP leading off since Donnie is injured rather than Rob Refsnyder, since they, started that trend, quite a few games in a row. And again, if you're going to have Rob play and we're going to be going against a lefty, this is about the spot that you should have him on. And again, they got Connor Joe at 6. So, we definitely have a few liabilities in the lineup with Refsnyder and Joe. But again, if they end up switching pitchers and go to a righty, then you would assume Rayleigh and Canzone will come in at that particular time. Right hands up. Let's go, M's. 36 subs away from 24,100. And looks like we gained 3 subs since the last commercial break. Thank you so much. 33 subs to go. We gained 3 so far to 24,100. First pitch from Schultz, high and inside with that sinker, 94 miles an hour, 1-0 count. J.P. Crawford in the box, Noah Schultz on the mound. 2-2 record with an ERA of 4.91. So yeah, we do struggle against lefties, but we should hopefully have a little bit of wiggle room on Schultz here today with his ERA, close to 5. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking with the sinker down the middle. 1 ball and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. Little dribbler towards first base. Toe tap on the bag there by Murakami, and that is 1 away. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. And we're at 45 likes, 55 to 100. 5 on the Dono train, 95 to go. First pitch to Julio, takes a strike looking high and inside with a sinker, 95 miles an hour by Schultz, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch from Schultz. Little dribbler towards third base and foul. No balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. 0-2 pitch to Julio. High and away. Good patience there with that changeup missing by Schultz. High and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. 1-2 pitch. 4-seam fastball fouled off, out of play there by Julio, right down the middle. 96 miles an hour there by Schultz. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Noah Schultz on the mound, Julio Rodriguez in the box. And again, thank you to all the individuals that supported with the Dono Train on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to help out with the vet bill for my pup earlier this afternoon. Had an ear infection with a little bit of bacteria and whatnot for the first time. And I've had her for almost 5 years. It's never happened before. But, anytime you get that yeast and bacteria, sometimes things can get a little itchy. And I'm just glad that she's doing much better now. 1-2 pitch. High and inside. Count now is 3 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. 3-2 pitch. Julio crushes that one out of play. Fading towards right field. High and away. Sinker 96 miles an hour. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Miguel in the building. What's good, brother? Bottom of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the White Sox and the Mariners. And again, as long as we're not, playing the Padres, that's usually just the one team that has our number. Like we have the Astros number. We beat them down more times than not, winning 9 out of the last 10. And obviously the Padres beat us 6 times this year. Not ideal. Deep hit ball. Deep center field, back, gone! Julio Rodriguez, solo dinger on a 3-2 count. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. We have to be thankful we're not playing the Padres. And even though this White Sox team is hot, I don't care. Nice job, Julio. Way to bring the electricity. 1-0 Seattle. Way to be. Julio Rodriguez. We could have used that in that Padres series, but we'll take it here. Nice job, Julio. That's what we like to see when we get on the board first, especially against a good team. We have a lot to prove after getting beat up by that Padre team. Not once this year, but twice. Next up is Randy Arozarena, as Julio has the trident and takes the photo with security, that cop right there in the dugout with him. I love it. 0-1 pitch. Randy fouls that one back. First pitch sweeper by Schultz. Takes a strike looking low and at the knees. That was outside of the strike zone, but maybe got a little piece of the line on the corner. And second pitch fouled off behind that T-Mobile bricks. 0-2 pitch. High and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Noah Schultz to Randy Arozarena. Ken in the building. What's good? Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez getting us on the board. 1-2 pitch popped up and behind the plate to the Farmers Insurance sign as well as the T-Mobile bricks. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Seattle. And again, it's nice to score first, because it felt like every time that we, play the Padres, we're always down and looking up at the scoreboard. And, obviously having the lead, even if it's early, feels great. Big swing and a miss, high and away, 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour by Noah Schultz, getting Randy out, and that is 2 away. Next up in the 4-hole, first baseman Josh Naylor. And I'm curious to see how this flip-flop of Randy from 4 to 3 and from Naylor from 3 to 4, if that'll end up helping both guys out, or if it will, end up being one of those days where each guy ends up going 0 for 4 and they flip them back. But hopefully both individuals, Randy and Josh, will get hits here today. And, maybe this will be, something that they can keep moving forward. 0-1 pitch. Little blooper there by Naylor, and it drops right in between the right fielder and the first baseman. Nice job. Naylor's like, hey, I can hit in the 2-hole, the 3-hole, the 4-hole, the 5. It don't matter. Nice job there by Josh Naylor doing something that Randy couldn't do in his first at-bat, get an old base knock. Nice job by Naylor with a base knock into shallow right center. Nice job, Naylor. Way to bring that electricity after the Julio home run. We love it. Now, this is where it's going to get challenging with Ref Snyder and Connor Joe batting 5th and 6th. But then we got Young, Emerson, and Pareda at the end. So obviously the liabilities will be Ref Snyder, Joe, and Pareda. If we can get anything out of those 3 guys, even if they get walked or only get 1 hit each, that would be huge. Because I think that we don't really expect anything. And sometimes they'll give us RBIs and home runs once in a blue moon. But Ref Snyder and Joe probably have a better chance of getting a hit than Pareda, at least lately, but we will see. 1-0 pitch. Hard hit ball there by Ref Snyder in shallow center field. And Acuna is there, and that is out number 3. All right, baby. We'll take an early 1-0 lead with a Julio Rodriguez bomb there in right center field, 396 feet. Too bad we didn't have anybody on base. Too bad JP couldn't have gotten a walk or got on himself, because obviously getting a 2-0 lead could definitely make the impact a little bit more. But again, we'll take the early 1-0 lead, and nice job there by J-Rod Julio Rodriguez on getting the job done. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Let's see who's up next here for the White Sox. Next up for the White Sox in the 6-hole, right fielder, former Seattle Mariner, Jared Kelenic. Batting 2nd in the 7-hole, playing left field today, Tristan Peters. And batting 3rd in the 8-hole, catching for Chicago, Drew Romo. No relation to Tony. Tridents up. Let's go M's. 33 subs to go to 24,100. We gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. $32 subs to go now to 24,100. We're at 5 on the dono train. 95 to go. Let's see where we're at on the likes here as we end the first inning with a 1-0 lead. Julio Rodriguez solo blast. All right, we're at 51 likes. Good start. 49 to 100. Lauren in the building. Lauren, Brittany, Rebecca Woods in the building. One inning pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, 1 K, 25 pitches in that first inning, which is very high for him. 14 strikes, 3.83 ERA. And then for Noah Schultz, 1 inning pitch, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 1 K, 20 pitches, 14 strikes, 5.04 ERA. But the difference is Schultz gave up the solo dinger to Julio, and Wu has not given up anything yet, at least home run wise, even though he did give up a couple walks and a hit. Let's see if he can calm down here in the second inning. Wu on the mound, Jared Kelenic in the box. First pitch to Jared is in there for a strike, high and away. 0-1 count. Let's go, Brian Wu. Yeah, the pup is doing much better. I, just got back a little while ago, from the vet, and after having a $450 bill, just a few weeks ago for an annual checkup and whatnot, having another $200 bill on top of that is really hard for me personally. And again, we did get some good support with some, donations on Friday, Saturday, Sunday to help out with that, which is great. And they flushed out her ear, and we got some medication for anti-itch. So it should be, hopefully fully healed in about 10 days. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jared Kelenic. Yeah, and she's never had an ear infection with any type of yeast or bacteria. I guess worst case scenario, you can end up having mites that can go into a dog's ear or a cat's ear, and thankfully it wasn't that. So 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and inside. Nice job there by Brian Wu. And down goes Jared Kelenic, and that is 1 away. Miguel with a $5. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Miguel. First pitch in there to Peters, pops up and flies out, and that is 2 away. Next up is Drew Romo. Appreciate you, Miguel, helping out with the Paisley Pup Vet Fund. First pitch into Drew Romo, big swing and a miss. 0-1 count. Yeah, and usually I'm only taking Paisley to the vet once a year, just for that annual checkup. But, it seems like every other year so far in her early life, we end up having some other issue that comes up. 0-1 pitch popped up, shallow center field. JP is there, and that is out number 3. Like a couple years ago, we had a dog run up on her that was off leash, and it was raining outside. And as I was trying to collect her, I have one of those like retractable leashes. She got so excited trying to protect herself that, she slid against the pavement and kind of cut up a little bit of her stomach. And she's short haired. She doesn't have long hair. So anytime you end up having anything on the underbelly side, it ends up being an issue where, you can bleed. And, that was kind of frightening for me. That happened a couple years ago, but that was really the only other thing that we, had to put the cone on besides having, surgery for her early in her life. So that way she doesn't have to wear diapers, when she ends up going through her, dog cycle and whatnot. And, most people end up getting that surgery for their pup. If you have a girl dog, within the first year of their life. And that was a little frightening for me as well, when you have something you care so deeply about. But again, she's doing a little bit better now. And again, in the next 10 days, everything should be, healed up properly. Fingers crossed. Let's go to the bottom of the second inning and see who's up next here for the Seattle Mariners. Next up for the Mariners in the 6 hole, right fielder Connor Joe. Batting second in the 7 hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. And batting third in the 8 hole, third baseman Colt Emerson. I can't believe Colt is finally up. It just sucks that Brandon Donovan had to get hurt and go to the IL for Colt to get the call up. I mean, too bad, we couldn't have Cole and Colt, with, obviously a Naylor at first and Donnie, at third. But, I'm glad that Colt is on the roster now. And again, as he ends up playing in more games, there'll be more photos for me to be able to use, like this one for defense, as well as this one for defense. And then a few like this of him in the box. And then obviously one from last night as well. Love me some Colt Emerson. And again, I think you guys are going to be blown away, with his offense and his defense. And it still may take a little time, for him to get into that home run groove and that single double groove. But I think one thing that will really stand out, which he already has proven, is that his defense is one of the strengths of his game. And I love two-way players, like Julio Rodriguez, Cole Young, and Colt Emerson. Those are my favorite type of guys, as well as, Josh Naylor. He's pretty damn good at D at first as well. 0-1 pitch, fouled off, out of play. First pitch, sinker, 94 miles an hour, high and inside by Schultz, 0-1 count. And then the 0-1 pitch was fouled off, out of play. Sinker, 95 miles an hour by Noah Schultz. No balls and 2 strikes to Connor Joe. Yeah, and I've been watching him, in the farm. So, I don't get a chance to watch a lot of single A, high A, double A, triple A. But if, some are televised, I try to catch as many as I can. And if I can't catch, it being actually televised, then obviously, as we know, we can go on socials, and, check out the Tacoma Rainiers. And sometimes their games are televised, as well as, some of the other affiliates. And, if you have Instagram or Twitter/X or Facebook, they'll end up showing some highlights of the games there. And, I've been definitely following Cole and Colt very closely since we drafted them. And they are going to be phenoms on this team for many, many years to come. 0-2 pitch fouled off there by Joe, low and away. No balls and 2 strikes from Schultz to Joe. And the best part about Cole Young and Colt Emerson, they're class acts on and off the field. You know, you're not going to worry about them doing anything stupid off the field. They're very well respected. They're very mature for their age. And again, they really put out an effort offensively and defensively, and that's what the Mariners need, especially with some miscues by Julio and JP early in the year. You know, it's nice to be able to get a few other guys, to be able to be a little bit more reliable, even though we know JP and Julio typically are reliable. But a few sidearm wild throws by JP to Naylor, and we've seen Julio outrun, 4 or 5 baseballs for errors or giving up RBIs and big extended base hits. And hopefully, I don't really have a whole lot of confidence in JP really turning it around. He's kind of at the end of his run here with the Mariners, but Julio, we know that he can turn it around. He had a beautiful robbery of a home run yesterday. And again, I assume that he'll be able to get better on the timing and the angles of certain balls in the outfield. Big swing and a miss there by Connor Joe right down the middle. Nasty cutter, 88 miles an hour there by Schultz, and that is 1 away. Down goes Connor Joe. Next up is Cole Young. First pitch is high and inside, 1-0 count. Oh, he's here to stay. It's not only the money that we've already paid him, with that very, very large contract, but I don't see him, being sent down at all. He's just like Cole Young. People are going to fall in love with him and his game. 1-1 pitch, and Young pops up to center. Acuna is there, and that is 2 away. First pitch to Emerson. Big swing and a miss, low and away, 0-1 count. Oh, 0-1 pitch, low and away. Sweeper, 82 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Schultz to Emerson. 1-1 pitch, low and away. Sinker at 95 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike to Colt Emerson. Two-one pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Seattle. Two-two pitch. Line drive. Miguel Vargas right there, and that was potentially going to be Colt's first hit and gets robbed. Great defense there by Vargas, and that is out number 3. End of the second inning, 1-0 Seattle. Next up in the 9 hole for the White Sox, center fielder Luis Angel Acuna. Batting second, 1-for-1, second baseman Sam Antonacci. And batting third, 0-for-0 with a base on ball, first baseman Munetaka Murakami. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40 plus years on the radio for Rick Rizzs, retiring this season, and we want him to go out with a bang. So we are dedicating on the channel every game to our guy, Rick Rizzs, one of the best to ever do it, an icon and a legend. We love you. Right, it's up. Let's go, M's. $32 subs away from 24,100. We're at 10 on the dono train, 90 to go. And we're at 60 on the likes, 40 to go. First pitch from Wu to Acuna was called ball, but Paredes challenging. Call confirmed by 0.2. Only have one challenge remaining. One 0 pitch fouled off there by Acuna. 1 ball and 1 strike. With nobody on and no outs, top of the third inning, 1-0 Seattle. One pitch, a little dribbler towards first base, and foul. Xavier in the building, what's good? Yeah, brand new beat. And usually, depending on his schedule, he definitely has dedicated himself to being in shape. And, he used to be overweight like me, and we used to party and drink a lot. And we both got our act in gear with exercise and whatnot. As Acuna dribbles ones out there and throw to first from JP. And that is one away. But, for a guy just like myself, both of us, we're getting closer to that, 270, 280, 290, 300 range, years ago. And now, he's lost 100 pounds. I think I've lost about 90. And, he runs marathons and, all kinds of crazy things that, he probably didn't think that he could ever do. And the mind is a powerful thing, especially when you're motivated. And again, I'm very proud of him. And, on his spare time, obviously trying to be able to, make beats as well. And again, it just kind of depends on his schedule, but we usually will have a new one, every, if it's not every few days, every few weeks, and we'll keep adding them to the library. First pitch to Sam Antonacci, sweeper, low, and at the knees, 1-0 count. One 0 pitch, little check swing towards third base and foul. Yeah, the Naylor bobblehead looks great, especially, the Mariners are usually very good about face detail, as well as the, minor details, with the, elbow pads and shin guards and, belts and, things of that nature and whatnot. So, but the main important part, as Antonacci hits one right in front of Julio with a little blooper there for a single, but it's about getting the face right. That's the most important thing about a bobble. Obviously the other things are really important too, to make it as accurate as possible. But again, you want to make sure that the bobble, actually looks, like that particular player. And, it definitely looks like Josh for sure. I like the Griffey pin that they showed up as well. Antonacci singles to center with 1 out. Next up is Munetaka Murakami. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. Top of the third inning, runner at first with 1 out, 1-0 Seattle. 1-0 pitch, fouled off right in front of the catcher there, Johnny Pareda. 1 ball and 1 strike to Munetaka Murakami. Yeah, I've seen a few, over, the time that they've released some of those WWE belts. A little expensive, but again, they definitely have a certain unique look to them for sure. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Wu to Murakami. I think for me, being a wrestling fan from, back in the 80s and 90s, with, Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior and, Andre the Giant and Roddy Piper, and then, going into, DX and the NWO and, Stone Cold and The Rock. I feel that, if I were ever to buy one, I don't necessarily think I would buy a team issued one. I would probably get, one of the old school ones if I was going to go that route. But some of the newer ones definitely have a little flash to them. And Murakami has a nice little base knock on a 2-2 count. And a nice turn there to go into third. And now they got runners at first and third with 1 out. We desperately need a double play here. Yeah, no Ozempic for me. For me, it's just, I changed my diet. I don't drink really anymore. I don't eat fast food anymore. My body rejects it, believe it or not. Anytime I try to eat something, even from like a restaurant and whatnot, it just kind of rejects it. And, I walk 5 miles a day, 7 days a week. And I've been doing that for, 2 years straight. So, again, if you change your diet, stop eating fast food, stop drinking as much, exercise a bunch, then you're able to lose the weight and, keep it off for sure. First pitch into Miguel Vargas, big swing and a miss, 0-1 count. Oh, 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Wu to Vargas. And I thought, for someone that used to drink every day and party all the time, I thought, man, how am I going to do this? But again, when you have priorities other than yourself, like my pup, that's my number 1 priority in life, is my Paisley pup. And then obviously this channel is number 2. And again, to be able to, do the things that I want to do, and, you got to put in a lot of effort. And I've always been a real, dedicated, passionate person. And, you start to, do things after like 3 weeks, it becomes a habit. And a lot of us have negative habits in our life. And if you can find a positive habit to kind of, deflect to, and you stick with it, you can get some amazing results. And it's not like I lost, 90 pounds immediately. It took, a while to get to that point, but, not only to lose it, but to keep it off. It's huge. 2-1 pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Miguel Vargas. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Down goes Miguel, and that is 2 away. Big strikeout there. Yeah, but it's crazy. Like, I go to Black Bear Diner for my birthday with my family maybe once a year. And I like, getting like chicken fried steak, maybe once a year, some toast, maybe some, bacon and sausage and eggs and whatnot, either scrambled or over easy. And even just something basic like that, not even, necessarily like a hamburger, it's like, I don't feel good afterwards, with all of the oil and the grease and everything after eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and eating healthy for, 3 years in a row now. Like, it's crazy. I never thought my body would make me feel, like sick after eating that, stuff. Like, it tastes good when you eat it, but then the after effects, chemicals and all the other stuff that they put into that food, when you're eating it every day, you don't really recognize it. But once you end up going, clean, and you end up eating healthy, and then you eat fast food, whether it's pizza or burgers or a restaurant, even something like I love chicken fried steak, it like, I didn't feel good for like the rest of the day, and I wasn't even really hungry for dinner, later on in that evening. So it's kind of crazy how that works out. 0-1 pitch. High and away, 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour to Colson Montgomery. 1 ball and 1 strike with runners on the corners and 2 outs. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Colson Montgomery. One-two pitch, big swing and a miss, and a huge inning for Brian Wu. I mean, we had runners on the corners at first and third, and that easily could have been a 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, lead for Chicago. Nice job there by Wu on getting those big outs there. Great job. Great job there by Brian Wu. Let's take a look at his stat line now. 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, 54 pitches, 34 strikes, 3.70 ERA. Way to bring that electricity and not fumble the bag and get those big outs after you had runners at first and third. Great job. Next up for the Mariners in the 9-hole, catcher Johnny Pareda. Batting second, 0 for 1, shortstop leadoff hitter J.P. Crawford. And batting third, 1 for 1 with a run and an RBI solo dinger to give us that 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first inning, a 396-foot bomb by Julio Rodriguez, and he ends up batting third. Let's see if he can do it again. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. $32 subs away from 24,100. We're at 10 on the Dono train. 90 to go to help out with the Paisley Pup Vet Fund that you guys have been very generous on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as well as today. And let's see where we're at. We're at 70 on the likes, 30 to get to 100. Yeah, I think there's a good chance, bad man, that Colt will get his first hit. I mean, he's been pretty close already. I mean, he's been connecting, with some, hard hit balls. It's just the defense on the other side. And first pitch, Pareda getting hit, we'll take that. And anything that we can get out of Pareda, whether it be walked, hit by a pitch like right there in the foot, those are the cheap things that we need to go our way. And then we need to be able to steal bags, bunt a little bit, play a little small ball. We need to be able to do everything that we possibly can do, considering we have Rev Snyder, Joe, and Johnny Pareda in the lineup. Those are 3 weak links. And again, if they end up flipping it, and go into a righty, then we may see Luke Raley as well as Dominic Canzone. But, I like this team. And even though that, things have not really gone our way, in the first, 49 games. I mean, this game isn't over, but first 48, I don't think anyone really anticipated 22 and 26. But once we get healthy and the, warmer weather comes around and we get past the All-Star break, we will get hot, and I do think that we can still win this division. And if we don't win it, I think we can still get a wild card. It should be between the Athletics, the Mariners, and the Rangers this year, and probably only 2 of those teams will make it out of the 3 as they're interviewing Colt Emerson's parents. Love the hoodie from Colt's dad and Colt's mom. Wow, look at that jacket, the white Mariner kind of throwback jacket. I love it. Anytime you can get those satin jackets, especially with like the throwback logo look, it is fire. 2-1 pitch. High and inside. Count now is 3 balls and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. Three-one pitch. Takes a strike looking high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Noah Schultz on the mound. J.P. Crawford in the box. Three-two pitch. And Crawford pops up. And that's an easy out there. And that is 2 away. Or excuse me, 1 away. Gotta keep an eye on Antonacci at second and Montgomery at short, making those plays. Next up is Julio Rodriguez, first pitch. Fouls that one with a laser into left field. Keep your head on a swivel. 0-1 count. Yeah, who would have thought that the Blue Jays and the Mariners, after being the two out of the last three teams and the last two teams in the American League, would be playing so bad this year? I think a lot of us, Blue Jay fans, Mariner fans, as Julio has a line drive, double play. And what's going on with this call here? I thought there was a double play there, but there's some kind of issues with the umps. Let's see what they call here. Maybe the delivery wasn't clean. Oh, definitely dropped intentionally. Dropped it intentionally to try to get the double play there. Why are the White Sox being so cheap here? I mean, they're really trying to pull fast ones. I get it, being bottom of the barrel, and being, one of the worst teams in baseball, but trying to go from, first to second, second to third after a walk, trying to catch us sleeping, and we caught them, and Emerson got the tag, and then, having a line drive, dropped purposely after you actually had it in your mitt, just so that you can get the double play. Interesting. I haven't really seen a team try to pull fast ones like this against us. I mean, it's one thing when the Astros do it, but definitely did not have the White Sox on my bingo card for trying to pull fast ones on the Mariners here. And we won't forget either. So we got a runner at first now with 2 outs. Next up is Randy Arozarena. Randy with a hard hit ball into deep left field. Go, go, go. And it's fair. Run, baby, run. Terrible decision there by the third base coach to have Johnny Pareda go home. What are you doing? Stay at third. And they say the run scores here. Oh, because his interference, he's in the way. Antonacci, I don't know what's going on with the White Sox here. I mean, they're trying to get in the way. They're dropping easy outs to try to, pull a fast one and get double plays. And they've already done 3 things that you wouldn't really qualify necessarily as cheating, but they're definitely doing things that we normally don't see teams do to us, except for maybe Houston. And Pareda ends up scoring, and the White Sox manager is obviously upset and complaining and whatnot. But again, if you're in between the base paths, in front of Pareda, I mean, it's interference, right? So we would want that to be called correctly. And now they're having a visit with all 4 umps here. But it definitely was, interference. I mean, he's standing right in the base path. You can't do that. And again, 3 wild situations from the White Sox, and we're only in the 3rd inning. I mean, they're really trying to, not necessarily, I think, cheat on purpose, but they're definitely trying to have a quote-unquote edge and seeing if they can get away with it. And 3 plays now, 2 almost back-to-back to each other. Getting the ball, having the out, dropping it, so that way you can get the double play. They got caught, and I'm glad the ump saw it and caught him. And then now you end up having Antonacci in the base path, and it should be a 2-0 Mariners here. All right, here we go. Runner does score. I was about to say, why are they sending him home? Pareda, because obviously he was going to be thrown out by a mile. But obviously after the interference call, and thankfully these umps, are, calling this game the way that it should be called. And again, 3 separate plays, that wouldn't necessarily be counted as cheating, but definitely trying to pull a fast one there. And obviously the third base coach, sends him home, and maybe based off the interference call, because that could be the only reason, thinking that we're going to get that call and just to go home and see what happens, because obviously he got thrown out by a mile. But crazy situation here. Again, we've seen 3 very suspect plays, when we had a walk, and then, they tried to end up stealing second and third. And, luckily, Colt Emerson got the third to tag him out. That was the first one. Then we had a double play where they could have just ended up, making the double play and then end up dropping the ball to make the double play happen, which didn't really make any sense. You still would have ended up having a good defensive play. So that was number two. And then now you end up having one of their players in between the base paths. And now the manager is ejected. And, again, we got to keep an eye on Sam Antonacci at second and Colson Montgomery at short. But again, we had Dan Wilson get ejected, and it definitely gave us a little bit of a spark, a few games ago. And, the White Sox are, what do you say? I don't think I've seen any team that the Mariners have played up to this point, not necessarily try to cheat, but three separate plays that are very questionable. I don't want to say it's Bush League, but it definitely makes you kind of wonder, what's going on with this White Sox team. And obviously they're not a bad team anymore. They have an identity now with Munetaka Murakami, number 2 in home runs behind Schwarber and just ahead of Aaron Judge. And it's made Vargas better. It's made Montgomery better, Antonacci better, everyone it's made better and wild. But we'll take the 2-0 lead. Wild sequence. Like I said, we haven't had a sequence like this in the first 3 innings all year, but thankfully we've been able to come out on top on all 3 situations. So we'll take that. And first pitch there to Naylor, lines out to left, and that is the end of the 3rd inning. What a wild game. Almost a collision there in the outfield. Naylor ends up popping up and flying out. We leave a runner stranded, but not after we score another run, and we'll take that. What a wild game so far. Let's go to the top of the 4th inning and see who's up next here for the White Sox. Next up for the White Sox, 0 for 1 with a K, DHing the former Red Sox, Andrew Benintendi. Batting second in the 6th hole, 0 for 1 with a K, former Seattle Mariner right fielder Jared Kelenic. And batting third in the 7th hole, 0 for 1 left fielder Tristan Peters. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Yeah, White Sox manager got ejected. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. End of the 3rd inning, 2-0 Mariners. So we had Julio Rodriguez with a solo dinger in the 1st inning to right center, a blast, 396 feet. And then we saw Randy Arozarena double to left and Pareda going from second to home. And you ended up having, Antonacci and Montgomery kind of in the way in the base paths there. And, again, they ended up making the call correct. Pareda ends up scoring. Manager gets ejected for the White Sox, and now we have a 2-0 lead. We'll take it. And anything that we can get out of Johnny Pareda after him getting, hit by a pitch and actually getting him to come home and score is huge. We don't expect anything out of Pareda, anything out of Ref Snyder, and anything out of Joe. So if you can get even one thing positive out of each guy, it's a win. Trident's up. Let's go M's. First pitch from Wu to Benintendi. Fouls that one off. 0-1 count. It's on Mariners TV. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if he saw it or not, and, he sent him, and there was no way that if that collision doesn't happen, I'm assuming he saw it, and that's the reason he sent him home, because if he just was sending him home to send him home, that's like Josh Naylor a few weeks ago where, when the throw came at home, there was still 5-6 steps to get to home plate. where he wasn't going to make it. And it was a terrible call, by the third base coach. And, another thing, that sometimes goes against us, but it didn't go against us there. One-two pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Andrew Benintendi. Two-two pitch, and take strike 3, looking right down the middle. Nice job. Down goes Benintendi, and that is 1 away. Nice job there by Brian Wu. Down goes Benintendi. Next up in the 6th hole, right fielder Jared Kelenic. I mean, both teams have 3 hits apiece, but luckily we are on the scoreboard first, especially after how that Padres series, ended up happening. It definitely was not, fun to watch when you're getting beat up, not only 3 games earlier in the year in San Diego, but these 3 games in Seattle. So first pitch from Wu to Kelenic, big swing and a miss, 0-1 count. Oh, absolutely. John Boy is going to do a breakdown because, again, we saw 3 things that we haven't normally seen in a game against the Mariners all year. One pitch, low and away, 1 ball and 1 strike to Jared Kelenic. 1-1 pitch from Wu. Big swing and a miss, slider 85 miles an hour, 1 ball and 2 strikes. With nobody on and 1 out, top of the 4th inning, 2-0 Mariners. I mean, it all started off at the very beginning with Antonacci after you ended up getting a walk from the next player, with Munetaka Murakami, and then Antonacci tries to go from first to second, second to third, and almost made it. But Emerson ended up getting to third in time, catching a good ball from Pareda, tagging him out. That was number 1. Then you had a double play where they just dropped the ball on purpose to try to make an additional out. They got caught. And then obviously you had Antonacci get in the way, the base path of Pareda, and then we end up getting that run to come home. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Down goes Jared Kelenic. We like that. And that is 2 away. Down goes Jared, and I like what I'm seeing here out of Brian Wu. He's a little shaky in that first inning, but again, he's starting to settle down and settle in. 3.2 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, 64 pitches with 40 strikes, pacing for 10 Ks, maybe 10 to 12. Let's go Wu. Next up is Tristan Peters. First pitch fouled off there by Peters, out of play. Slider 87 miles an hour. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Fouled off again towards first base and behind the plate. Change up 90 miles an hour there by Brian Wu. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 4th inning, 2-0 Seattle. Well, the White Sox scored 8, 6, and 2 in their 3 games against us in Chicago. So they won 2 out of 3 when we should have won 2 out of 3, but we had a meltdown in the pen. So hopefully we can win 2 out of 3. And if we win the first 2 games, then we can talk about a sweep. But White Sox are, drastically improved. And again, Munetaka Murakami, I remember when I first heard him signing with the White Sox, I was thinking, wow, out of all teams, that team, but again, he has made a big difference, on the perception of Chicago White Sox baseball, and it's good for the game. 1-2 pitch, little dribbler, and ends up going foul behind the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 4th inning, 2-0 Seattle. I mean, things can change after Wu goes out, as everyone knows. So we have a lot of injuries in our bullpen. Big swing and a miss, and another punch out there for Brian Wu. Let's go. Nice job there by Brian Wu. Take a look at the stat line. 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 69 pitches, 44 strikes with a 3.63 ERA. And that's what we expect, out of Brian Wu, George Kirby, Emerson Hancock, hopefully Bryce Miller. And I don't think we have a whole lot of faith in Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo, even though Gilbert is better than Castillo, but they are going to move Castillo into the pen, and they're going to have Miller pitch first. I don't know how many innings, and then it'll go to Castillo at some point, and then the bullpen. But again, I guess it's a good thing to have, a certain amount of pitchers that you can have access to. But again, we still have a lot of injuries. No Brash in the pen, no Spire. Obviously, Cal and Brendan Donovan are still injured. We're still waiting on Victor Robles. And again, hopefully we can get the job done in this series. But so far, so good. And I love what we've been able to get out of Brian Wu. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Let's see who's up next here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Next up for the Mariners in the 5-hole, 0 for 1, DHing Rob Refsnyder. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a K in the 6-hole, right fielder Connor Joe. And batting third in the 7-hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. 0 for 1. Let's make it 1 for 2. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 32 subs to go, do 24,100. Looks like we gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 31 subs to go, do 24,100. We're at 10 on the Dono train, 90 to go for the Paisley Pup Vet Fund. Help out with that. Appreciate all the people that helped with that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we are at 86 likes, 14 more to get to 100. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Shout out to our female viewership all across the globe. Used to be about 5%, a few years ago. Now it's typically 15 to 20%, which is awesome. And shout out to all the people watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. We got a great global viewership on the channel. They may not chat and communicate all the time, but they're definitely watching. I get all the stats in the metrics, and I appreciate every one of you. First pitch is low and away to Refsnyder, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and no strikes from Noah Schultz to Rob Refsnyder. So you being a Blue Jay fan, obviously you guys are really having a hard time this year like us. What's the main factor for you guys? Is it more injuries and pitching like with the Astros, or is it a little bit of everything like the Mariners? 2-0 pitch, low and away, sinker at 93 miles an hour, 3 balls and no strikes from Schultz to Refsnyder. 3-0 pitch, takes a strike down the middle, 3 balls and 1 strike to Rob Refsnyder. Absolutely. Baseball and sports in general brings us together, regardless if you're, a man or a woman, or if you're gay or you're straight, it doesn't matter. And a long stride out there in left field, saving a big double from Rob Refsnyder. That was a hell of a defensive play by Tristan Peters. Wow. Again, Refsnyder could have easily had a double here, but what hustle and what a great angle out there by Tristan Peters making that play. And again, there's not a lot of guys in the outfield that would have been able to make that play right there off that really hard hit ball there by Rob Refsnyder. Bounces off the wall and that ball stays in the glove. Wow. 1 away. First pitch to Connor Joe, high and inside with a cutter, 90 miles an hour, 1-0 count. A lot of injuries to the pitching staff, though, at least at the beginning of the year, at least that's what I was reading. Maybe some of those guys have come back from the injury at this point, 47, 48 games in, but I know there was some injuries with the pitching staff, the starters, some of the guys in the pen, and then obviously guys underwhelming. 2-0 pitch, and that one goes foul towards third base. 2 balls and 1 strike to Connor Joe. Yeah, but it shows you just because you were great last year doesn't mean you're going to be great this year. And you could also be a bad team last year, White Sox, and be a really good team this year. So again, sometimes getting a new addition, really changes, the whole perception of the squad. And, Munetaka Murakami coming from Japan has really made a big positive impact on this White Sox team. There's no doubt about that. Takes a strike looking low and away. Sinker at 95 miles an hour by Schultz. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Connor Joe. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 3-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Joe, and that is 2 away. Nice punch out there by Noah Schultz. Down goes Connor Joe. And next up is Cole Young. First pitch to Young, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch. Little dribbler. 2 balls and 1 strike to Cole Young. First pitch was low and at the knees. Second pitch low and away, and then fouls off that third pitch. 2-1 pitch. Young pops it up into shallow right field. And Antonacci was waving for it, but Kelenic ends up making the play, and that is out number 3. End of the 4th inning, 2-0 Seattle. See who's up next here for the White Sox. Next up for the White Sox, 0 for 1 in the 8-hole, catcher Drew Romo. Batting second in the 9-hole, 0 for 1 center fielder Luis Angel Acuna. And batting third, 2 for 2 leadoff hitter second baseman Sam Antonacci. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 31 subs to go to 24,100. And we gained another sub. 30 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 10 on the Dono train, 90 to go. And let's see how close we are to 100 likes here as we go to the top of the 5th inning. We're at 95. So if we can get 5 more likes out of 192 people in the room, we'll be at our goal. Can we get 5 likes out of the 192 people in the room? And once we hit 100, we'll be good to go. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Sean in the building. What's good? Just got back from the vet, a few hours ago. And she ended up having, an ear infection with some, obviously, bacteria and yeast in her ear. And obviously she was scratching it like crazy. And, her ear was all irritated and red and, almost on the brink of getting like bloody and whatnot. So I'm glad that they were able to see me. But they ended up putting a flush in her ear, getting all of the bacteria and discoloration out of her ear, and put some medicine in her ear, and then gave me some medicine to give her for anti-itch for 10 days. Luckily she doesn't have to wear a cone, so that was the thing I was kind of fearing. Not necessarily for me, but for her, just being uncomfortable having to do everyday duties while wearing a cone on your head and whatnot. So, but we've already done it a couple times in her short life. She's 4.5, she'll be 5 at the end of summer. So But again, she's doing much better, and shout out to all the people that donated on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Considering I already had a $450 vet bill a few weeks ago, I wasn't anticipating another vet bill this year, and to get an issue that came up, just a few weeks later, and having to pay over $200, for that was definitely tough. But with the great support of the people in the room and the great generosity of the people in the room, they definitely made it more manageable for me. So I appreciate every single one of you. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss there by Drew Romo, no relation to Tony, the quarterback from the Cowboys back in the day, and on CBS there with Jim Nantz nowadays. No ball, 2 strikes to Drew Romo. Appreciate you, Dunbar. 0-2 pitch, and a little dribbler towards first base and foul. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 5th inning, 2-0 Seattle. Your number one stop for Seattle Mariner coverage on YouTube is right here. I've been doing this for 14 years, 10 years on YouTube. I've been full-time for, I think, 4. And again, I plan on doing this for the rest of my life. And we do more than just baseball. We'll do NFL. We do college football. I've done pretty much everything in the past, NASCAR, NBA, NHL, WWE, AEW, you name it, we've done it. So UFC, boxing, but primarily, I would say Mariners number one. And then when we get into football season, Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night, and doing football games is a priority in the fall, as well as college football. And then there's just a small month as Connor Joe gets that pop up from Romo, and that is one away. When we were just waiting, for spring training to kind of get going, and we're waiting for the Mariner season to start, from February to March, we're forced to do, at least a little NBA or NHL. But, you got to be able to, fill in the gaps, so to speak. So. Yeah, but I watch Kraken. I watch Kraken hockey. I'm a fan. And a line drive right to Cole Young. What a leaping catch there from Cole. And that is 2 away. Down goes Acuna. And a line drive there to Cole Young. And we can always count on Cole, saving the day with his defense. Nice job, Cole Young. Next up is Sam Antonacci. First pitch from Wu to Antonacci, low and at the knees with a slider, 86 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Top of the 5th inning, nobody on with 2 outs. Mariners with a 2-0 lead. 1-0 pitch, little dribbler up the middle. Young to Naylor, and that is 3 up and 3 down. It's always fantastic when things come together, right? Brian Wu is, doing his job, and that's always good when we can, get our star pitcher to do what we expect him to do and pitch a gem. And obviously the hitting hasn't been great for either team, only 3 hits apiece. But with that being said, we do have the solo dinger from Julio, right? That gave us the 1-0 lead. And obviously we love that. And then we ended up getting the Randy Arozarena double to left. And then that ended up scoring Johnny Pareda after we had interference by Antonacci. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. $30 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 10 on the Dono train. 90 to go. And let's see if we're over 100 likes now. I believe we are. And we're at 108. Appreciate you. TJ in the building. What's good? And just a quick recap, Julio Rodriguez with a solo dinger to right, 396 feet in the bottom of the first, 1-0 Mariners. And then Randy Arozarena doubled to left. Pareda ended up scoring because of interference by Antonacci. And we have a 2-0 lead. And again, Wu has been pitching amazing. And again, we always knew, besides those 2 hiccups that he had against the Cardinals and the Royals, that he could do this on the regular. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 77 pitches, 50 strikes with a 3.57 ERA. And I feel, when Wu is on, he is the most dominant pitcher on the staff. There might be, a player like Kirby that might have, a better win-loss record and a better ERA from time to time. I think Kirby's had a great season, and I trust him, more times than not, as we have Colt Emerson now in the box with a 1-1 pitch, fouled off, out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. But, to be able to have, Hancock and Wu and Kirby that we can trust. And again, Miller had a first, start that was, pretty damn good as well. Really, the only 2 guys that are liabilities right now are Gilbert and Castillo, but Castillo is going to end up going to the pen. And then we just have to hope let Logan, if he's the worst guy out of the 5, hopefully he can catch up, to Miller and Hancock and, at least be on that level. If you're not going to be able to catch up to Wu or Kirby, fine, but don't be, if you're Logan Gilbert, don't be like Castillo, be more like Miller and Hancock. And then if you can get to that point, we'll be just fine. 2-2 pitch. And that ends up, wow, popping up behind the catcher. How did he make that play? Incredible play. Foul tip. Off the glove and ends up making the play. Wow. Robbery for Colt Emerson. We just want him to be able to get his first hit, but they're definitely making it as difficult as possible. A little bad luck for him. And first pitch to Pareda, a little slow dribbler, throw to first, and that is 2 away. Work the count, Johnny. Next up is J.P. Crawford, and hopefully we'll have Colt get his first hit before this game is over. I think there's still a pretty damn good chance that happens. And again, I love him on defense. He can make plays like Cole Young, but we just need him to be able to get that first hit out of the way. We love you, Colt. Glad that you're on the team and not in AAA anymore. But I do miss Donnie and Cal tremendously. First pitch, takes a strike looking with a cutter right down the middle, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch. Oh, shit. And JP gets hit in that back shoulder. I mean, he got hit in the arm yesterday and had to leave the game. And now JP gets hit almost in that same area. And I hope he's okay. Let's take a look at the replay to see where this one hits him. Ooh, that one actually gets him in the back. Yesterday, it got him in the arm. And I imagine that does not feel good. At least it wasn't in the same spot, because I know he's got a big strawberry bruise from yesterday, having to leave the game, and now he probably has another one on his back now. JP getting beamed there by Noah Schultz. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod, make him pay. First pitch, big swing and a miss to Julio. 0-1 count. Like he just got a little piece of it. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with all of the beats here on the channel. The best beats on YouTube. 0-1 pitch, fouled off there by Julio. No balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Bottom of the 5th inning, 2-0 Seattle. Oh-2 pitch, low and at the knees with the changeup, 89 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Come on, Julio. JP at first after getting beamed in the back by Noah Schultz. 1-2 pitch to Rodriguez. Popped it up into foul territory as it bounces into the 5th row. And getting a Julio Rodriguez foul ball is something that I'll never forget. Anytime you can get a ball of any player, but let alone if it ends up being like a really good player, it ends up being a memory that you'll cherish forever. And, I've been extremely lucky. I've only been to like 9 or 10 Mariner games in my life, and I've already gotten 3 balls. So, I'm not a Zach Hampel, but I'm pretty good at being able to put myself in a position, to get one. A little bit of luck involved as well, as that one goes out of play. And I've gotten a baseball with 3 different people. My dad the first time, my best friend Justin the second time, and then my other friend Preston the third time. So I don't know what the chances of getting a ball with a different person every time is, but definitely changed me, for the better, for sure. 1-2 pitch to Julio. And that's low and at the knees, almost hits him. Sweeper, 83 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Bottom of the 5th inning, 2-0 Mariners. But getting that Kike Hernandez ball really got, the competitive juices flowing, back in 2018, 2019. I think it was before COVID. It was like 2019. And then in Julio's rookie year, I got a foul ball when we went to go see the Royals and Bobby Witt Jr. in his rookie year in the 9th inning. At the very end of the game, I got incredibly lucky. And then I got an Aaron Judge ball a few weeks later and predicted that I would get the Judge ball. And I don't know, I guess the sports gods wanted to make it happen. 2-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Three-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Julio. And that is out number 3. Well, the game has changed, from when Edgar played to, what we're looking at now. A lot of rules have changed. And again, guys like Ichiro and Edgar Martinez, they don't grow on trees, and it's a certain type of, rhythm and repetitiveness and being able to do things, consistently the same, type of way. And, those are 2 of the best hitters, ever. Edgar is one of the best DHs ever. Ichiro is one of the best pure hitters ever, so I'm not sure if we really have anyone on those guys' level, even though Edgar is, coaching these guys up with Manny Acta and Wilson and all the other guys. Even Ichiro, puts in his 2 cents and tries to help these guys out. But at the end of the day, the player, it's up to them, to adjust. Like when Naylor started to add that leg kick. If he definitely ignored the staff and decided to be stubborn, then maybe he would still be the second worst hitter in baseball, right? But he ended up listening, making a little bit of an adjustment in his batting stance with the leg kick, and it works. So, ultimately it comes down to the player, themselves. And, we have a lot of talent, but again, I think the pitching has been more dominant now than it was back then. And, again, we just have to try to do our best, with what we have. And we've had a lot of injuries this year. There's no doubt about that. End of the 5th inning, 2-0 Seattle. Let's see who's up next here in the top of the 6th. Next up, 1-for-1 with a base on ball, first baseman Munetaka Murakami. Batting second, 0-for-2 with a K, third baseman Miguel Vargas. And batting third, 0-for-1 with a base on ball and a K, Colson Montgomery. Like, even if you go back and look 10, 15, 20, 30 years, there used to be, how many players, batting over 300, now 30, 40, 50. Now, if you actually look at how many guys are batting over 300, it's a fraction of that. Sometimes there's less than 10 players in the entire league that are batting over 300. It kind of just, depends on the year and what time of year that we're talking about. So again, the game has definitely changed. It's more, friendly to the pitchers, not so much the hitters. And you still got, some incredible athletes that know how to get the job done, like Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge and Kyle Schwarber, just to name a couple, as well as Munetaka Murakami here in his rookie season. But, again, it's not an easy thing to be able to get those big hits and be able to hit consistently. But this guy right here has put the White Sox on the map. First pitch from Wu to Murakami, fouls that one out of play. 0-1 count. 85-mile-an-hour slider there by Brian Wu. Plus, you also have to remember we were the worst hitting team in baseball prior to that Astros series that we played earlier in the year. So, to be, the worst hitting team in baseball as a group, batting 188. Thankfully, we're not there anymore. But, as soon as one thing gets fixed, the hitting, then what happens? The pitching goes sideways. The bullpen goes sideways. We have injuries. The closer, Muniz, stinks. Castillo's garbage. And Gilbert hasn't really been good. And then Spire and fucking Brash got hurt. And then now Cal and fucking Donovan got hurt. So it's like, we have a lot of things going on, but we can still, find a way, to not only, win the AL West, but I still think that we could end up going on a run, even though things haven't really gone our way so far. One-two pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Wu to Murakami. 2-2 pitch, fouled off with the changeup, 89 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Wu to Murakami. But I think really the main thing that really has derailed us, is injuries. We didn't have this many injuries last season to, the bullpen, starters. Obviously we had Kirby out for the first 2 to 3 months, and then we had Gilbert for a few starts, and then he missed like a month and a half, and we tried to stay afloat with Logan Evans and obviously Emerson Hancock, and they tried to do their best, but they really weren't that great. Evans was good at home, but terrible on the road, and, Hancock wasn't really that great. And Murakami, off the sweeper, grounds out to first, and that is 1 away. So we just have to try to stay afloat the best that we can. Next up is Miguel Vargas, 0 for 2 with a K. First pitch, big, swing and a miss. There from Vargas, high and inside, 94 mile an hour, four-seam fastball, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, high and away, four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, there by Brian Wu. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out, top of the 6th, 2-0 Seattle. Wu's at 85 pitches. We don't need to take him out yet. He's got 7 Ks. He can finish this inning. I mean, he's got the 3-hitter. And we're up 2-0, so. And he had a kind of a shaky, first couple innings, but he's been good since. One-two pitch to Vargas from Wu, and Vargas pops it up. Should be a routine play for Josh Naylor, and that is 2 away. Nice job by Josh. Down goes Miguel Vargas, who's probably benefited the most with the addition of Munetaka Murakami, as well as this player in the 4-hole after we have 2 up and 2 down. Next up, shortstop Colson Montgomery. Number 1 in innings pitched, 4th in quality starts. And I know we were top 10 as a starting unit, and top 4 in as far as bullpen numbers, even with the injuries, and a lot of AAA players in there. So big swing and a miss. Slider, 85 miles an hour, 0-1 count. I don't have a whole lot of Wu memorabilia, but I do have a graded rookie auto of Wu that I got as a gift from my dad on the Christmas holiday. That's probably the only piece of memorabilia that I have like that. But I imagine there'll be a few other things that I'll add to that collection. Pitch fouled off there by Wu. Colson Montgomery getting a little piece. Slider, 85 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes from Brian Wu to Colson Montgomery. First pitch strike percentage. Wu number 2 in the MLB this year. And I get excited to watch Wu, I think, the most out of our starting 5. 0-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and another punch out there by Wu. I feel like he's got the most electric stuff when he's on. Now, obviously, we know he's human, and we've seen him, give up 7 runs in the first 3 innings against the Cardinals in St. Louis, but we came back and won that game 11-9. That was one of the turning points of the game. And then we gave up 6 runs in his next start against the Royals. But other than those 2 bad outings, he's been pretty fucking electric, Brian Wu. And again, Not to say that I don't enjoy George Kirby. I do. He's like the Greg Maddux of the Seattle Mariners. It's all about location and, having that poise on the mound. Not necessarily throwing heaters like Wu does. And then obviously Emerson Hancock has been a huge surprise. He kind of took Logan Gilbert's spot as the third guy. And Logan got worse, Hancock got better, and then Miller has been injured all year. We just got him back, and Miller looked good in his first start. And obviously the piece that has been the worst is Luis Castillo, but he's been the worst pitcher on the staff for the last couple of years. But this year it's even worse than it was in previous years. He would be at least 500. 2 wins, 2 losses. He'd have a couple of stinkers, but then he would actually pitch somewhat decent and get a couple wins. But this year, definitely needs to move to the pen full time, and they're going to be doing a little rotation where they're going to start Bryce, and then Castillo will come in after him, and he'll be splitting time until they fully decide to just have Castillo in the pen. So, which is a smart move. I mean, you can't put Hancock there; he's been too good, and Miller, you can't put him there either. So he just came back. So, I'm glad we have a plethora of pitchers, and we have Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan in the farm. And eventually those guys more than likely will be starters with this team in a few years as well. So very exciting time. Let's go to the bottom of the 6th, 2-0 Seattle. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the Mariners, 1 for 2 with an RBI and a K, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Batting second in the 4-hole, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. And batting third in the 5-hole, DHing Rob Refsnyder. And considering, we have a lefty on the mound and whatnot, it's nice to be able to have that lead. Oh, 1 pitch, fouled off there by Randy. No balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. You get people that are immature that try to troll, but I'll take care of it quickly. 0-2 pitch, high and away. The bigger that you get as a channel, the more, people like that, are going to come through. So we're going to get great baseball fans, and that'll be part of it. But, as a channel that continues to grow, you're always going to have haters and trolls, be that way. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. Two pitch, little dribbler towards left field and foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. Yeah. I mean, especially if that you might only get 1 comment in, before something happens, 2-2 pitch, deep hit ball to center field over the head of Acuna. And that's going to be a stand-up double there for Randy Arozarena. And this is what, we desperately needed, based on how things have gone in the last 3 games against the Padres. We definitely needed a game like this, not only from Brian Wu, but from the hitters as well. And hopefully we can get to 5 before this one is over. Next up in the 4-hole, first baseman Josh Naylor. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Randy with number 1 with extra base hits with 18. Wild pitch, and Randy will make his way to third easily. Here we go. We're on the brink of getting this score to being 3-0 here in a moment. The crazy thing is you would assume that most of the people that are acting that way are kids, but it's not always kids. Sometimes it's actually grown-ass adults, males and females, so just, one of those things. Bottom of the 6th, runner at third. Randy Arozarena after that pass ball. And Naylor with a hard hit ball into right field. And Randy is going to come home. 3-0 Seattle. Let's go, baby. That's how you draw it up. Nice job there by Randy, starting it off with that big double over Acuna's head, and then Naylor says, you know what, I'll catch you in immediately after that wild pitch. He goes from second to third, and that's what you need to do in baseball, right? Anytime you end up having a wild pitch and a runner can go from second to third and there's no outs, you got to bring that guy in, and as soon as possible. Another wild pitch. Wow. And Naylor steals a bag and gets to second. Here we go. Bash with a $5. Thank you so much, man. Every dollar counts, especially after a $200, plus, vet bill that I just had to pay. So Bash with a $5. Thank you so much. We're at 15 on the Dono train, 85 to go. Naylor with a stolen bag. 1-0 pitch to Refsnyder. Takes a strike high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Schultz to Refsnyder. 3-0 Seattle. One pitch. Low and at the knees. Good take there by Rob. 2 balls and 1 strike to Rob Refsnyder. Two 1 pitch from Schultz. Low and away. Count now is 3 balls and 1 strike with a runner at second and no outs. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-0 Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go M's. And throw to second. Naylor is safe. Let's go. And Naylor back to second just in time, safe. Noah Schultz on the mound. And Rob Refsnyder in the box. Naylor is lucky that he got back in time. I mean, he was, quite a ways away from second base there, dancing towards third. So 3-1 pitch. Takes a strike right down the middle. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder. HR with a $5. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm only going to 1 game this year. I'm going on the 4th of July to see the Blue Jays. And no challenge there by Refsnyder, and that is strike 3. And they don't use the challenge there. Let's look to see on the pitch graph. I don't know. That might have been a ball. It might have gotten the corner, but I'm, kind of surprised that Refsnyder didn't challenge this. But all right, that is 1 away. Shout out to Bash and HR, as well as Rebecca. Appreciate the 3 of you. Shout out to Miguel as well. All right, next up is Connor Joe, but we're having a pitching change. All right, Brandon Isert is coming in. The former Oregon State Beaver. First pitch in there for a strike. 0-1 count to Connor Joe. Born in Portland, huh? Oh, 1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Connor Joe. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees there by Brandon Isert. Trying to pull up the photo here before the at-bat is over if we can. All right, Brandon Isert on the mound. Connor Joe in the box. 2-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Isert to Joe. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-0 Mariners. And again, much better, today that we don't have to worry about playing the Padres. So. And Joe calls time. Two pitch, high and away, right on the corner. Slider 82 miles an hour there by Isert, the former Oregon State Beaver. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Connor Joe. 3-2 pitch. Joe with a little dribbler up the middle. It's dropped. Here we go. That's got to be an error. And Joe is safe. Here we go. Second error for Colson Montgomery this year, and Connor Joe is safe after the bobble. That's why you run hard to first base no matter what. And that ended up hitting him on the top of the wrist instead of the glove. And Joe hustles to first. And now we have Joe at first, Naylor at second with 1 out. Let's go. Next up, one of my favorite players on the team, Cole Clutch Young. And on deck, newly acquired from AAA, Colt Emerson. We're still waiting on Colt's first hit. Double steal and safe. We ran the double steal yesterday and it worked, and we did it again here today and it works again. Beautiful. You know how difficult it is to do a double steal and have both guys be safe? Again, and obviously the ball is only going to be going towards one guy, and then the other guy, it's a clean, stolen bag, right? But nice job there by Josh Naylor. Keeping his hand and his foot on the bag at all times. 0-1 pitch. And a throw to third, but Naylor hustles back to third base. No balls and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. And we got Colt Emerson on deck, and hopefully Cole and Colt will both get hits. That would be fantastic. Especially Colt, when we're looking for his first, Major League Baseball hit. He's been close already from yesterday and today. The defense has been really good against him. Pitches high and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. Bottom of the 6th, runners at second and third with 1 out. Joe at second, Naylor at third. 1-2 pitch, low and into the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Brandon Isert, the former Oregon State Beaver, to our stud, Cole Clutch Young. Mando with a 5-er. Appreciate you. Every dollar counts. 2-2 pitch, popped up and out of play. Thank you so much. We're at 25 on the Dono train, 75 to go. Two pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Cole Young. Isert on the mound. Young in the box. Come on, Cole. 3-2 pitch. Popped up and fouled back behind the plate. 4-seam fastball there by Isert. 3 balls and 2 strikes with runners at second and third and 1 out. And we need to get a little payback on this team, right? We only won 1 game out of 3 in Chicago. We should have won 2 out of 3, but we had a meltdown in the pen. We need to win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 if possible. And a line drive and toe tap on the bag by Munetaka Murakami. Runners are stranded and stay at second and third, and that is 2 away. Unfortunately, Cole couldn't get an RBI there, but next up in the 8 hole, looking for his first base hit in his MLB career, third baseman Colt Emerson. He can do it offensively. He can do it defensively. Got a few new photos of him from yesterday. And let's see if Colt Emerson can get his first RBI and his first base hit here. Who knows? He might even be able to get a home run. First pitch fouled off behind the plate, 0-1 count. Give me an RBI single. I know the home runs are going to come for him, at some point, but, this might not be the time. I mean, if he does, people are going to go bananas, but RBI single would be awesome. 0-1 pitch, and fouls that one back. No balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. I mean, I've been dreaming of Cole and Colt playing together for years, and now it's actually a reality. It just kind of stinks that we had to have Cal Raleigh and Brandon Donovan injured for it to happen. 0-2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. One-two pitch to Colt. Low and at the knees. Good patience there by Colt Emerson. He's going to be an absolutely fantastic player on and off the field, as well as offensively and defensively like Cole. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. 2-2 pitch. Popped it up and out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Isert to Emerson, and now it's more than just, trying to get a Julio and a Cal foul ball. Now a lot of people are going to be trying to get the Cole Young and the Colt Emerson foul balls at games. Absolutely. I know I'm going to be. 2-2 pitch, check swing. Did he go? And he does not. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. Three-two pitch and broken bat, little blooper. And that is out number 3. All right, Colson Montgomery robbing Colt Emerson there, but hopefully Colt will have at least one more at bat to, try to get, that first base hit out of, just getting it out of the way so that way he doesn't have to keep pressuring, himself, and thinking about it. Obviously, the family is there rooting him on, as we are as well, Mariner fans. All right, end of the 6th inning, 3-0 Seattle. Next up for the White Sox, 0-2 with 2 Ks in the 5-hole, DHing the former Red Sox, Andrew Benintendi. Batting second, 0-2 with 2 Ks, right fielder in the 6-hole, former Seattle Mariner, Jared Kelenic. And batting third, 0-2 with a K, left fielder in the 7-hole, Tristan Peters. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 30 subs away from 24,100. And gained another sub since the last commercial break. Thank you so much. Shout out to our female viewership, as well as people watching in the United States, Canada, South America, Mexico, Asia, and beyond. We're at 25 on the Dono train, 75 to go for the Paisley Pup Vet Fund. And we're at 129 likes. $71 to $200. Yeah, and it might take a couple games for him to get his first hit. It's like anytime you end up being a prospect, that's highly touted like Cole Young and Colt Emerson, obviously getting that first hit in the first at-bat is the dream, but sometimes it takes a few, to be able to, get that first hit out of the way. All All right, Edward Bizzardo is coming in. So Woo is done. And hopefully Bizzardo is the good version. Because since Brash and Spire have gotten injured, Bizzardo hasn't looked very good, the last couple starts. So hopefully he'll be the good Bizzardo here. We don't want him giving up a run. First pitch from Bizzardo to Benintendi, low and away. 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss right down the middle there by Andrew Benintendi. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 7th inning, 3-0 Mariners. And I'm hungry for a few more runs. Yeah, missing Cal and missing Donnie hurts, even though Cal has been really, really struggling. But again, still pacing, for 25 to 30 home runs, even with the injuries and everything that he's had up to this point. And, I love me some Cal Raleigh and Brandon Donovan. 1-2 pitch, and Benintendi pops up. Should be a routine play here for Julio. Randy decides to come in last minute and get it. Little high five there to Julio. Good communication there by Julio and Randy, and that is 1 away. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up, former Seattle Mariner Jared Kelenic. First pitch, in there for a strike looking. Sweeper, 0-1 count. Great job there by Brian Woo today. Anytime you can have a 0 or a 1, that's exactly what you're shooting for, as far as a pitcher. So nice 3-hitter by Brian Woo. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jared Kelenic. 1-1 pitch from Bizzardo. Big swing and a miss by Jared. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jared Kelenic. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. And honestly, if anyone needed a game like this for the fan base, it's us. After getting beat up 3 times in a row by the Padres, we needed a game like this. And I don't know if we're going to end up winning 5-0, 6-0, or, if it's going to be something like that, but it would be fucking sweet if we do. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Jared, and that is 2 away. But, I'll take a win any way we can get it. If that ends up being 3-1, 4-1, 5-2, 6-3, whatever. But, based on how good we've pitched so far, it would be sweet to be able to get a shutout against this White Sox team that has been pretty fucking hot. One of the hottest teams in baseball within the last few weeks. They got a better record than us. They're 24-22. Hard hit ball by Tristan Peters. Deep right field. Back. Gone. And Edward Bizzardo gives up a run in his last 3 outings. Come on. Brian Woo kills it, and then Bizzardo comes in and shits the bed. And again, he's given up a run 3 consecutive starts, either by RBI or home run. And I get it. Matt Brash and Gabe Spire are injured, but we can't have Bizzardo being a liability. Paisley's in here. Hi. And a big home run there by Tristan Peters. 3-1 Mariners. And it's crazy because, again, if it ends up being like one of the AAA guys, and they give up a home run, you kind of expect it. But we expect Bizzardo to be the number 1, while Brash and Spire, who are normally number 1, Brash, and number 3, Spire. And we know they're human, except for Brash. He's, pretty lights out most of the time. But, man, Bizzardo was the best guy last year, and he's not very good this year. And another blooper there by Drew Romo. And again, maybe he should have just kept Brian Woo in the game. Obviously the pitch count, was already going up there. He was already at 90 pitches, but this is not the Bizzardo that we like, It's like you're letting them creep back into this game, and you're supposed to be the number 1 while Brash and Spire are out, but clearly you're not. You've given up a run by home run or RBI his last 3 starts since Brash and Spire have been injured, and that's fucking unacceptable. And now we have a mound visit here. I still feel confident that we're going to win the game, but, it just sucks when you end up having an electric performance by the offense and by the pitcher, Woo, and then Bizzardo comes in and kind of shits the bed. I mean, come on. I mean, again, I know that you were one of the worst, with Taylor Saucedo a couple years ago, but then you improved dramatically last year and were our number one with Brash, last year. But I don't know what's going on with Bizzardo this year. He definitely doesn't have the stuff that he did, last season. Chase Mydroth coming in and pinch hitting. First pitch is high and away with the sinker. 95 miles an hour by Edward Bizzardo. 1-0 count. Don't give up any more. Chase Mydroth pinch hitting here. 1-0 pitch, high and inside, almost hits Mydroth in the head. He has to reposition his body there. 2 balls and no strikes from Bizzardo to Mydroth. I mean, it's already bad enough that we have fucking Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo shitting the bed, Andres Munoz shitting the bed most of the time, and then pretty much everyone in the bullpen shitting the bed, obviously besides Brash, but he's injured. It's like, can we actually get some consistency out of Gilbert and Castillo and Munoz? And can we get some consistency out of Bizzardo and the others? Takes a strike looking on the corner. 2 balls and 1 strike to Chase Mydroth. 2-1 pitch from Bizzardo. Popped up and fouled behind the plate to the T-Mobile bricks. Sinker at 94 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Mydroth. Yeah, Knicks and Cavs don't have any chance to win the championship. It's either going to be the Spurs or the Thunder. And Romo steals a bag and is safe. Paredes throw to Cole Young, not in time. Top of the 7th inning, runner at first with 2 outs, 3-1 Mariners. Now, I think that the Knicks and the Cavs series itself will be good. It could definitely go 6-7 games. That should be a good series. But, whoever wins between the Cavs and Knicks have, I don't think, a chance. Either, unless, SGA and Wemby get hurt, then they'll have a chance. But if those guys, the top guys don't get hurt, realistically, it's going to be the Spurs with Wemby or SGA winning it again, or the Thunder. 3-2 pitch. Popped up by Mydroth and out of play. Sinker at 95 miles an hour. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Mydroth. Beasley has left the room. Three-two pitch. Low and away. Don't feel sorry for me because, like I said, basketball is not what it used to be, And again, that's ball 4 there by Edward Bizzardo, Mydroth with the walk. But again, I'd rather watch baseball any day of the week than watch basketball. Basketball nowadays is not good. Obviously as we get further along, and you get into the West Finals and the East Finals and the NBA Finals, it gets ramped up. But, when you grow up watching Jordan and Magic and Bird and you go through that generation, even the second generation with like Iverson and Kobe and Shaq, the players are entitled, they're lazy, they get a hangnail and they're out for 5 games. The NBA has gone on a downward slope. It's not the same as, baseball or the NFL or college football, and again, hell, I'd rather watch hockey than watch the NBA. That's how bad it's gotten. And the NBA used to be one of my favorites growing up in the 80s and 90s, but I don't got a whole lot of interest in the NBA nowadays. Like, will I still watch a little here and there? Yeah. Will I end up, looking on social media on the highlights to see what happened and going to the box score and looking at the stats? Yeah. I do that for everything, for NHL, for the NBA, for the MLB, NFL, college football. But, I'd rather watch the Mariners than watch any matchup in the NBA, period. And there's a few players that are exciting, but again, it's not like the same basketball that I grew up watching, where in the 80s and 90s, we had more top 50 players than any other, era. And again, the players actually played hard. The role players were better, and it was a different type of league. It was must-see TV. It's not must-see TV anymore. Now, if you're young and you don't know any better and you didn't grow up in the 80s and 90s, you don't really know what you missed. You can watch highlights of Kobe and Jordan and Bird and Magic, but it's not the same as watching it live, even pre-internet and seeing, the game of those guys playing. And it was a much different era. There's no doubt about that. All right, Eduard Bizzardo shits the bed. 3 consecutive starts with RBIs or home runs. And now we have Jose Ferrer coming into the matchup. First pitch from Ferrer. Randall Grichuk in the game. One-zero pitch, and Grichuk pops up. Julio and Randy are there, and that is out number 3. Nice job by Jose being able to get that last out after Bizzardo had another fucking meltdown. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 7th inning and see who's up next. I still wish we were up 3-0, but I guess we can't complain. But we're up 3-1. Let's get another run to make up for the one that Bizzardo gave up. Next up for the Mariners in the bottom of the 7th, 0 for 1 with a run, catcher Johnny Pereda. Batting second, leadoff hitter, shortstop 0 for 2 and got beamed in the back, J.P. Crawford. And batting third, 1 for 3 with a run, RBI, and a K, and had a solo dinger in the bottom of the 1st inning. 396 feet in right center. It's our guy, J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Yeah, but I will say this, if you are an NBA fan, it's going to be more exciting now with the Spurs and the Thunder and the Cavs and the Knicks. And obviously the Pistons dropped the ball. They were one of the best teams, defensively and offensively, but they had some major injuries. And, obviously if you have injuries to your star players, sometimes that's enough, for you not to be able to advance and whatnot. And, I know the Piston fan base is definitely disappointed with Cade Cunningham, with some minor injuries here and there late in the playoffs. But, we already knew it was going to be Spurs Thunder. The real question was, who is it going to be out of the East? And a lot of people picked Detroit. They fell short. And now you got the Cavs and Knicks. And, I don't think either one of those teams in the East has a chance against the Spurs or the Thunder. But just basketball-wise, I think that both of those, series are going to be very good. Both could go 7 games. And again, if you are a basketball fan, you have that. And then obviously you got the Avalanche and the Golden Knights and the NHL going to be doing the same thing that the Thunder and the Spurs are going to be, going at each other. Same thing with the Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. And again, we will see how that plays out on the NHL side as well. Hicks now into the game. First pitch to Pereda. Takes a strike right down the middle, 0-1 count. Big swing and a miss right down the middle with the sweeper. No balls and 2 strikes to Johnny Pereda. O2 pitch. A ball to Pereda. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now was low and away with the sweeper, missing by a mile. 1-2 pitch from Hicks to Pareda. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Sweeper missing. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Johnny Pareda. And 2-2 pitch, a line drive into center field, and a big base knock there by Johnny Pareda. My boy. There we go, Johnny. Way to get something going. Next up is J.P. Crawford. First pitch to J.P. is low and at the knees, 1-0 count. .0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Jordan Hicks to J.P. Crawford. 2-0 pitch from Hicks. Gets the corner for a strike on JP. Sweeper on the line, 85 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and no outs. Bottom of the 7th inning, 3-1 Seattle. Yeah, I mean, we've never seen anything like Wemby before. 2-1 pitch. High and away, gets the corner with that strike with the sweeper. I mean, it's one thing to be tall. We've seen tall players, but we haven't seen players that tall dribble like a guard and shoot threes. And that's really what makes Wemby so unique. You know he can rebound, you know he can block, you know, and again, you know, he can pass, you know, like a guard. But the thing that really is amazing is his dribbling skills and the ability to shoot deep and to be pretty accurate when he shoots deep. You know, it's like he really doesn't have any weaknesses in his game. He definitely is an alien. 2-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss there from JP. Nice pitch there from Jordan Hicks on that 4-seam fastball. High and away. And that is 1 away. Next up for the Mariners in the 2-hole, Julio Rodriguez. 1 for 3 with a run, RBI and a K, and a solo dinger. First pitch into Julio, takes a strike looking, low and at the knees. Sinker, 98 miles an hour, 0-1 count. .01 pitch. Popped up by Julio. Montgomery is there, and that is 2 away. Down goes Julio. Next up is Randy Arozarena. Let's go, Randy. First pitch to Randy, gets the corner for a strike with the sweeper. 0-1 count. .01 pitch. Sweeper going wide left and Romo getting a glove on it. Otherwise, that would have ended up bringing our runner, Pareda, from first to second easily. Good defense there by Drew Romo. 75 to reach our Dono goal. Absolutely. 1-1 pitch, low and away. Sweeper, 87 miles an hour by Jordan Hicks. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first, Johnny Pareda, with 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th inning, 3-1 Seattle. And again, I would love for us to get to 5 before this game is over if possible. Got to make up at least 1 run for the 1 run that Bizzardo gave up. Got to win this game a minimum of 4-1 if we can keep them at 1, but we will see. Pitches low and away. Sinker, 97 miles an hour by Jordan Hicks. 3 balls and 1 strike to Randy Orosarena. Come on, Randy. 3-1 pitch. Randy takes a strike down the middle. Should have swung there, Randy. I think he's thinking the same thing. He missed an opportunity there. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Randy Orosarena, having a good game. 2 for 3 with a run, RBI, and a K. And I think the only hitter on the team batting above 300. That's strike 3, but Randy is challenging. Yeah, Randy's batting 307, and that's by far higher than anyone else. And call is confirmed, and we lose the challenge. It just got the corner. And that's going to be the end of the 7th inning, and I believe we're out of challenges now. All right, let's go to the top of the 8th inning with a 3-1 lead. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the White Sox in the top of the 8th, 1 for 2 with a base on ball. First baseman, superstar Munetaka Murakami. Batting second, 0 for 3 with a K, third baseman Miguel Vargas. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a base on ball and 2 Ks, shortstop Colson Montgomery. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 29 subs to go to 24,100. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Thank you so much. 28 subs to go to 20,100. We're at 5 on the Dono train, 75 to go for the Paisley Pup Vet Fund. Shout out to all the people that participated in the Dono train on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I love you and I appreciate you. You've made it a lot easier for me, you know, having to pay that $200+ bill today. And we're at 141 likes, 59 more to 200. Believe it or not, Blue Jay, 41 is the record. 41 is the record, and he's not in the top 3. Wilt Chamberlain with 41, and Bill Russell got 43 times. So it shows you what, you know, the game was, you know, much different, you know, back then. And then even in the 80s and 90s, you know, when you had, you know, guys like that. You know, whether it be, you know, Bill Russell or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Wilt Chamberlain, you know, and then obviously going into the Jordan era. And then obviously after the Jordan era to the Iverson, Kobe, Shaq era. Pretty wild that someone could get that many in a game, but. And that's in a playoff game. Crazy. First pitch, high and inside, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away with the slider. 95 miles an hour. 1-1 pitch in there for another strike. Sinker slider combo here from Jose Ferrer. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Munetaka Murakami. One-two pitch, a little dribbler that gets past Ferrer, and a wild throw to first off a 360 attempt. We've seen JP with some wild throws this season, more than we can remember. Didn't really have a chance on this one as it goes over Ferrer's head. And, you know, JP kind of out of position, had to do a 360 and just kind of launch it, but nowhere even close to Naylor. Nice infield single there by Munetaka Murakami. Next up is Miguel Vargas. First pitch in there to Vargas for a strike. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, popped up behind the plate. No balls and 2 strikes to Miguel Vargas. Top of the 8th inning, runner at first with no outs. 0-2 pitch, just gets a piece. Count still remains no balls and 2 strikes from Jose Ferrer to Miguel Vargas. O2 pitch popped up by Miguel. And it goes to deep center field. Julio is there. And that is 1 away. Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez in the no-fly zone, getting himself in good position. Down goes Miguel Vargas, and that is 1 away. Munetaka Murakami still at first. And next up is Colson Montgomery. Let's go, Ferrer. And obviously, we have a little bit more trust in Ferrer lately than we do with Edward Bizardo, who's given up a home run or an RBI in his last 3 outings. First pitch from Ferrer to Montgomery. Big swing and a miss, high and inside, 0-1 count. And they got Andres Munoz warming up. One pitch, wild pitch, and Munetaka Murakami will easily get to second base. Quite a few wild pitches here today. Settle down and settle in. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Come on, Jose. 1-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss by Colson Montgomery. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Jose Ferrer to Colson Montgomery. And anytime you can end up limiting the damage to Murakami, Vargas, and Montgomery, those are the 3 best players on the team, hands down. And so far, we've definitely limited the damage. And those were the 3 guys that ultimately ended up winning, 2 out of 3 games in Chicago for the White Sox against the Mariners when we played them a few weeks ago. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Jose Ferrer. Nice job. Nice job there by Jose Ferrer. Big swing and a miss by Colson Montgomery. And that is 2 away. Next up in the 5-hole, the former Red Sox, now White Sox, DHing in the 5-hole, Andrew Benintendi. Oh, they're going to have Edgar Cairo come in and pinch hit. First pitch into Cairo there, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, line drive towards first base and foul. He was kind of shaky for us when he first came, with his first few opportunities and whatnot. But I mean, on paper, his numbers are good, but it's still a little wild from time to time. We were hoping that he could be like Gabe Spire or maybe better than Gabe, but he's had his ups and downs. O2 pitch to Edgar Carroll. Inside. We thought that might be strike 3 there for Jose Ferrer, but doesn't get the call from the ump. Sinker, 98 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second. Munetaka Murakami with 2 outs. Top of the 8th inning. 1-2 pitch, a little dribbler up the middle. Get it, Jose. And he got it. Flip to first. Down goes Caro. And that is out number 3. Great job there by Jose Ferrer. I wish we could say the same for Eduard Bizardo, but at least one of them ended up getting the job done. Nice job, Jose. Now let's see if we can make up that run that Bizardo gave up when we had a 3-0 lead with Wu, who is absolutely phenomenal today. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up for the Mariners, 2 for 3 with an RBI, first baseman Josh Naylor. Batting second, 0 for 3 with a K, DHing Rob Refsnyder. And batting third, 0 for 3 with 2 Ks, in the 6-hole right fielder Connor Joe. Nice to have a 3-1 lead with no Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone, but we'll see if they switch pitchers here in these last couple innings, and we might get a chance to see one of them at some point. Velasco in the building. What's good? $28 more subs do 24,100. We're at 25 on the Dono train, 75 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. All right, we're at 153. All right, we need 47 likes to get to 200. We got 263 in the room. So if we can get 47 out of 263 to get as close to 200 as possible, or at least 175, that would be greatly appreciated. Shout out to our female viewership, as well as everyone watching in the United States, Canada, South America, Mexico, Asia, and beyond. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Things were good. Velasco, I took Paisley to the vet after taking her to the vet just a couple weeks ago for her annual checkup, and having to spend $450, on some vaccines and an annual checkup is very tough, even with what I'm doing here. And then she had an ear infection for the very first time in her life, and I had to take her today. And luckily we had some good support by people helping out with that, with donos on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to kind of soften the blow. This time around, it was only like $207, I believe. So, but still, that's quite a bit of money, for just spending, $450 a few weeks ago, and now having to spend another $200. But, she's my number one priority. I love her, and, I want to make sure that she's happy and healthy. 1-1 pitch and a nice little dribbler out to left field. Nice job there by Nails, Josh Naylor. Rick Riz and the NWSF, we love it. Nice job by Josh. Next up is Rob Refsnyder. Naylor having a good day, going 3 for 4. And they're going to have Dominic Canzone pinch hit. Okay. All right, Dom is coming in to hit, which is great. Hopefully we get a chance to see Luke Raley before the day is over. Let's go, Dom. First pitch in there to Dominic Canzone with the changeup low and at the knees by Richards. 1-0 count. .0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Richards to Canzone. Trevor Richards on the mound. Dominic Canzone in the box. 2-0 pitch. and ends up going to Murakami at first. Naylor is safe. 2 balls and no strikes with a runner at first, Josh Naylor, and no outs. Bottom of the 8th inning, 3-1 Mariners. I mean, everything has been great besides Bizardo. And, again, it's been, one of those games where Woo was electric. Julio had a home run. There was a couple wild, things that happened within the first 2 innings of the game that we normally haven't seen. When they had a walk and then they tried to steal second and third, where some of our guys were napping a little bit, but we got the throw to third and got the out. Then you had a double play that was dropped, so they could end up making another play, but they got caught by the umps. And then about a play later, you had one of the players for the White Sox, Antonacci and Montgomery, kind of getting in the way of Johnny Pareda as he was going from second to third, and ended up coming home. So not the normal type of game that we normally see, and Dominic Canzone ends up getting the walk. White Sox challenged, but the call was confirmed. Dominic Canzone to first, Josh Naylor to second, and look who it is, our guy Luke Raley. Let's go. A grand slam and a 3-run jack by Luke Raley. We remember that game. That was game number 1 where we won 12-8. He had 7 RBIs. And again, I love me some Luke Raley. Let's see if Luke can give us a little magic here with runners at first and second and no outs. Naylor at second, Canzone at first. And I'm really happy that we got a chance to see Canzone and Raley here at the end of the game. Because obviously, as we know, Ref Snyder and Joe, more times than not, they're not going to get a whole lot. Same thing with Pareda, but Pareda actually had a pretty good game today. First pitch, big swing and a miss there by Luke, 0-1 count. And, honestly, Luke should be playing every day. Luke is a billion times better, than Joe and Ref Snyder combined. And on top of that, he's been playing just as good as everyone else, Julio or Naylor or Randy. You need to give him more opportunities. Doesn't matter if it's against a righty or a lefty. I don't think any fans would be mad, if he ended up playing full time and then some games he ends up going 0 for 4, 0 for 5. So be it. It's baseball. But especially on how good of a hitter he's been this year. And he's improved his defense too. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Down goes Luke. And that is 2 away. Or is that 1 away? So Dom ends up forcing the walk. That's 1 away. And Luke was not able to get the home run or the RBI, but we might be able to get some magic here by Cole Clutch Young on deck, looking for his first hit in his MLB career. Could it be here? Colt Emerson. First pitch to Cole Young, low and away, 1-0 count. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Bottom of the 8th, runners at first and second, Naylor and Canzone with 1 out. And I would love for us to be able to get to 5 if we can. 1-0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes to Cole Young. Yeah, I mean, when you put in so much love and dedication, obviously she saved my life and I know I saved hers, and, it feels good to, give everything that you got and some. Popped up, Peters is there, and down goes Cole Young, and that is 2 away. But Paisley definitely was a part of my health journey as well, to drink less, eat less, cut out fast food, cut out the booze, and then walk 5 miles a day. Because if I didn't have Paisley, would I be walking 5 miles a day every day, 7 days a week by myself? Probably not, So again, she got into some really good shape too. She was 71 pounds last year, a little overweight, and I got her to 57 in 1 year. And even the vet said that's insane. Like, most of the time they have dogs that gain weight, not lose, 14 pounds in a single year. But again, if you love your dog, you make sure you do everything you can. First pitch to Colt Emerson, takes a strike looking, low and away, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, and a little check swing, and he goes around. No balls and 2 strikes from Trevor Richards to Colt Emerson, who's still looking for his first hit in his MLB career since getting called up yesterday. We love him on defense. You're doing a good job at third, but we need you to settle down and settle in, and hopefully you can get your first hit here. 0-2 pitch. High and away, good patience. Four-seam fastball, 91 miles an hour there by Trevor Richards. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. 1-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Change up, 79 miles an hour there by Trevor Richards. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. Appreciate that, Blue Jay. And I got long-term goals as well. So 2-2 pitch, popped up and out of play from Colt. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Richards to Emerson. Obviously, the next goal will be 25,000 subs, and then obviously getting to 50,000, 75,000, and then obviously the long-term goal, 100,000. And, a lot of people say those things and they never hit those numbers, but I truly believe I will be able to hit those numbers before it's all said and done. 2-2 pitch, popped up and out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes with runners at first and second. Naylor and Canzone with 2 outs. Mariners hanging on to a 3-1 lead, but we would love to be able to get to 5 or 6 if possible to make up for Bizzardo giving up a run when we had a 3-0 lead and Wu was electric. 2-2 pitch. And Emerson, hard hit ball. Gone! Unbelievable! Colt Emerson, his first hit in his career is a 3-run jack. Wow! Unbelievable! Unbelievable. And again, I told you he's going to end up making a splash just like Cole Young. And you couldn't have asked, for a better, start to a career besides him doing that in his first at-bat yesterday. But raising the trident and getting a home run on and not only a solo dinger, a 3-run blast. I said I wanted us to get to 5 or 6. And I guess the sports gods really took it to heart and said, you know what? We're going to do it for you right now. And look at this. Bang! And look at the follow-through swing. Unbelievable. 6-1 Seattle. Let's go. Fuck yeah. Next up is Johnny Pareda. I mean, I don't know. Maybe sometimes, you just got to talk it, into existence. And again, I really thought we were going to get to 5 or 6 today before the game was over. I had no idea that, Colt Emerson and his dad is there. His mom is there. The whole family is there. And they were there yesterday as well. But there's been so much hype, with Cole and Colt. As soon as we drafted them, I knew, that they were going to be special. And what a play with dad and mom and the family in attendance. It would have been cool even if he got a solo dinger. Oh my God, a single would have been great, right? Double, triple, a solo jack like Julio. Awesome. But to do a 3-run blast on your first hit, you're really making a name for yourself. Nice job. Let's go. Yeah, he definitely has to get that ball back. I mean, there probably will be a pretty good trade involved, for that Colt Emerson 3-run jack baseball. Maybe an autographed bat and maybe some cleats or something. 2-2 pitch, popped up. And Jared Kelenic gets out number 3. And hopefully they track down that ball. And there probably will be a trade involved, a mitt, a jersey, a bat, cleats, whatever it is. But that is something, and Mariner fans are smart. They're not going to be, like Zach Hampel, trying to get an arm and a leg and some. Every, fan knows, you want to get your first ball as your first hit, let alone if your first hit ends up being a 3-run homer. And again, I know that fan that got that ball probably doesn't want to give it up because it's, a 3-run jack ball from Colt Emerson. But you have to think about the player and Colt Emerson himself rather than, hey, I just got a ball. And you're going to get something sweet in return, and you might even get to meet him, on top of that. But wow, incredible. And again, that's exactly what we needed. Great job there by Colt Emerson. First hit in his career, 3-run blast, and I think every Mariner fan is going to remember that for the rest of their lives, including myself. Wow. End of the 8th inning, 6-1 Mariners. Next up for the White Sox, 0 for 3 with 3 Ks, right fielder Jarred Kelenic. Batting second, 1 for 3 with a run, RBI, and a K, left fielder Tristan Peters. And batting third in the 8-hole catcher, 1 for 3, Drew Romo. And that definitely makes up, for Bizzardo's, shitty outing, giving up the home run. And obviously we feel very, very good about what Bryan Woo did today. I put him on the thumb, and, I was a little superstitious, at the beginning of the year on putting pitchers on the thumbs. Usually I would do Cal or Julio or Donnie and, Cole Young. And, I figured, okay, this is about the time where we need to start showcasing some of the pitchers on the thumbs. And lately, when I've been putting them on there, they've been doing a pretty good job. So I'm very happy with Bryan Woo. And really the only downside to today's game was Edward Bizzardo. But, Colt Emerson, he's got a knack for doing things like that. He doesn't even really get all of it there. It's, kind of one of those swings. It's not like a full power swing. It just barely, left the yard. It was more of looked like maybe like a bloop single. It kind of was looking like, but it got enough air underneath it to go, out of the park. And, regardless if it lands in the front row or, in the upper deck, a home run's a home run. And that was sweet. Andres Munoz is on the mound, and hopefully we get a good version of Mooney. We'll know in the first 7 pitches. First pitch, high and away to Kelenic, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, fouled off. 1 ball and 1 strike from Andres Munoz to Jarred Kelenic. And again, you always will be able to know how good, our closer is first 7 pitches. One pitch from Mooney. Kelenic popped up, deep center field. And Julio was there, and that is 1 away. Good job there by Julio Rodriguez. We know Mooney is happy after that. You don't want to give up a big hit or RBI right out of the gates. Next up is Tristan Peters. First pitch in there for a strike. 0-1 count. One pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Tristan Peters. Andres Munoz on the mound. Tristan Peters in the box. 1-1 pitch, fouled off towards first base, out of play. Slider, 86 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the 9th inning. 6-1 Mariners. And, seeing Colt Emerson with that 3-run blast definitely made up for those 3 losses that we took against the Padres. Again, it was tough sledding, and again, we got swept in San Diego in the beginning of the year, and we just got swept again. And this is the type of game that we needed, especially with no Cal, no Brandon Donovan, no Gabe Spire, no Matt Brash. And it feels good, that we finally got Cole and Colt playing together, and we're going to be able to have them for a long, long time. Very exciting. 1-2 pitch, popped up. It's in foul territory. And look who it is. Colt Emerson is there at third base, and that is 2 away. Nice job there by Colt Emerson playing some D. Little dribbler there by Romo towards first base and foul. Yeah, Colt Emerson in his first base hit in his MLB career just moments ago hit a 3-run jack with Naylor and Canzone on board, making it 6-1 Mariners instead of 3-1. Big swing and a miss on that changeup to Drew Romo. No balls, 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs, and we are 1 strike away from victory. And we needed this, based on how the season has gone. And, again, I'm really happy that we got Colt called up. It just kind of stinks that we had to do it because, Brendan Donovan got hurt again. But, sometimes, it's a blessing in disguise. 0-2 pitch from Mooney. Big swing and a miss. And that is out number 3, and that's ball game. Let's go. And we get the good Mooney. What a game. This will be the Colt Emerson game. Absolutely. Colt will have to get used to dancing, obviously in this little huddle. Final score, Mariners 6, White Sox 1. And when the Mariners win, what do? We fucking dance. Mariners win. Mariners win. Mariners win. Fuck yeah. Let's go. Nice job there by Colt Emerson getting the job done, baby. Wu gets the win and improves to 4-2. I love seeing that. And then Schultz drops to 2-3. Let's go over the stat line for both teams. All right, Sam Antonacci, 2 for 3. Munetaka Murakami, 2 for 3. Miguel Vargas, 0 for 4. Colson Montgomery, 0 for 3. Andrew Benintendi, 0 for 3. Jared Kelenic, 0 for 4. Tristan Peters, 1 for 4. Drew Romo, 1 for 4. And Luis Angel Acuna, 0 for 2. And then let's go to the flip side here with the Mariners. JP Crawford, 0 for 3. Julio Rodriguez, 1 for 4 with a solo home run and an RBI. Randy Arozarena, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Josh Naylor, 3 for 4 with an RBI. Rev Snyder, 0 for 3. Connor Joe, 0 for 3. Cole Young, 0 for 4. Colt Emerson, 1 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a 3-run blast just moments ago. And Johnny Pareda, 1 for 3 with a run. But it's all about Colt Emerson, and hopefully they'll get that baseball back and they can do a good trade for that fan that caught that home run ball in the front row. 11th player in team history with a home run with his first MLB hit. And they got Colt Emerson on the mic right now. Rangers in Oakland lost today, or the Athletics. We can't even call them Oakland anymore. TJ says we're 25 more to 200. I'm just happy that his dad and his mom are there and his family is there, And again, I know how much they sacrifice, just like Cole's parents. Anyone that ends up making it to the big leagues, there's a lot of money and time spent driving and, going to games and going to practices and, rooting on, their son to be able to get to this point. And obviously we know that, they've been, treated and regarded as phenoms, even when we drafted them. And, it just was a matter of time before we got the Cole Young, Colt Emerson, duo together. And, again, even though he didn't get all of it, it was enough. And it didn't even really look like a home run swing. It looked more of like a bloop single to right. But thankfully, the wind got underneath it, and he had enough follow through in his swing. And he actually has had quite a few swings like that for home runs for the Tacoma Rainiers as well as other teams in the farm. That's not the first time that he's, hit a home run like that, where it looks like it's just going to be a bloop single to right, and then it ends up carrying into the first 5 rows for a home run. And hopefully that fan will end up giving up that ball, and maybe he'll get a chance to meet Colt, get an autograph, and get a jersey or a bat or cleats or whatever. But that ball definitely deserves to be in a case, and on a mantle at his house, or if he decides to give it to his parents, which he might, but he definitely needs to be in possession of that first hit that coincidentally ended up being a 3-run jack. And opened the game up for us to win 6-1. And now we don't really give a shit about Bizzardo giving up, the big, home run to, Tristan Peters. It is what it is. So, oh man, fantastic game. Shout out to all the people, Miguel and Rebecca and Bash and HR and Mando for donating $5 each. I appreciate that. All day helping out with some of the mod duties here late in the game. And wow, it just took only 2 games, and we finally got the Colt Emerson big hit. And not only that, it was a 3-run bomb. And again, it should give us momentum, hopefully, to win game number 2 tomorrow and game number 3. Love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very much. And final score, Mariners 6, White Sox 1. And I got one question for you. Well, talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I am out. Tridents up, and go Mariners.